Hi, I'm Nicholas from RTINGS.com. Today we'll be doing a review of the ASUS ROG Swift PG279QM, and we'll be evaluating it on our standardized test bench to see how it performs and if you should buy it. The ASUS ROG Swift PG279QM is an updated model of the popular ASUS PG279Q, which is a few years old now. Like the older version, it has a 27-inch screen with a 1440p resolution. However, the biggest upgrade on the PG279QM is the 240Hz refresh rate. It also has native G-Sync support, and we'll talk about some of the features you get with that later in the video. This is the only size available for this monitor, but there are other models in the ROG Swift lineup if you prefer a different size. The PG279QM has a heavy gamer-oriented design, which is something we've seen on other ASUS monitors. The stand has a tripod design and it supports the screen well. There's almost no wobble at all. It also offers decent ergonomics as you could rotate it into portrait mode, but only in one direction. It has both swivel and height adjustments, but each are more narrow than other monitors. You could also use the cutout in the stand for cable management, which helps keep your setup clean. There's a pretty standard range of inputs, but unlike most other monitors, there are actually 3 HDMI inputs. However, they're all limited to HDMI 2.0 bandwidth, so you'll only be able to achieve a max refresh rate of 144Hz with a 1440p resolution over HDMI. There's also one DisplayPort input if you want to take full advantage of the 240Hz monitor. Lastly, it has 2 USB ports, meaning you could connect your keyboard and mouse or charge your devices. Now, let's look at the tests, and we'll start with the contrast. A high contrast ratio is important if you use the monitor in the dark for deep, dark scenes. Like many monitors, it has an IPS panel with a low contrast ratio. Blacks look gray in the dark, so it's not good for darkroom gaming. Local dimming is a feature that controls the brightness of individual zones of the backlight. This allows for much deeper dark blacks in things like video games, as the area of dark objects can be further darkened, boosting the contrast. However, the local dimming feature on the PG279QM is bad. It's edge lit with 32 zones, which is a bit more than other monitors. Still, it's ineffective at improving the picture quality in dark scenes, and it doesn't boost the contrast. Any small bright object causes an entire zone to light up, which is distracting in dark scenes. You can especially notice it with subtitles. When zones are turned off, the local dimming is effective at improving the contrast, but there's a clear difference between bright and dark zones. Fast-moving objects transition between the zones well, but once again, you could see when each zone turns on and off. Now, a high peak brightness is important either in a bright room to counteract glare, or if you want brighter highlights in a more impactful image, especially in HDR games. This monitor has great peak brightness in SDR. It gets bright enough to fight glare in bright rooms, which is great. It gets brighter in HDR, which is decent overall. It's bright enough to make some highlights in games stand out, but it's not enough for a true cinematic HDR experience with highlights that pop. Also important for a bright room is good reflection handling. The PG279QM has good reflection handling. The matte finish spreads the light across the screen so there aren't mirror-like reflections. Combined with the great peak brightness, visibility won't be an issue in bright rooms. One important thing to consider when looking for a monitor is the text clarity. This is how well it displays text, so letters will look sharp and not pixelated. Overall, the text clarity is good. Thanks to the 27-inch screen and 1440p resolution, it has high pixel density and text looks clear. If you enable Windows ClearType, it definitely helps make text look more clear though. Diagonal and curved lines appear bolder, making them easier to read. Good viewing angles are important to ensure details at the far sides of the screen don't look washed out. Thanks to the IPS panel, the PG279QM has wide viewing angles. The image remains accurate when viewing from the sides. Considering it has decent ergonomics too, it's a great choice for co-op gaming. An overall uniform screen brightness and color is important when playing video games to avoid distracting areas that are overly dark or bright. The PG279QM has excellent gray uniformity. The edges of the screen are a bit darker, but it's hard to notice. There's also almost no dirty screen effect in the center either. The uniformity is even better in near dark scenes. Uniformity varies between units, but it's rarely an issue on monitors. Looking at black uniformity, this is important for darkroom gaming as you want dark scenes to appear uniform. Our unit has disappointing black uniformity. Without local dimming, the screen looks bluish gray and there's some clouding. It delivers deeper blacks with local dimming enabled, but there's also a lot more blooming around the center cross. Accuracy in the standard sRGB color space is important as it's the standard for computer use. The unit we bought has impressive out-of-the-box accuracy. There are minimal inaccuracies to most colors. This monitor has two settings to lock the colors to the sRGB clamp for the best accuracy and least saturation. The game visual setting locks all other picture settings, so you can't change other settings. However, the display SDR input setting allows you to change other settings, including the picture mode. While both settings deliver similar accuracy, the display SDR input setting offers more customization. If you want to take full advantage of this monitor and display vivid colors in things like HDR games, then the ASUS PG279QM is a great choice. It has perfect coverage of both the sRGB and the Adobe RGB color spaces used in HDR content, which is fantastic. However, reds are a bit oversaturated in the Adobe RGB color space, which isn't exactly ideal for photo editors. Looking at the HDR color gamut, it has remarkable coverage of the common DCI P3 color space. Even with the wider Rec 2020 color space, it's great and the tone mapping is accurate. This is better than most monitors and it displays a wide range of bright and dark colors. Now onto gaming. A high refresh rate is important because it allows the image to be drawn on the screen faster, which makes it more responsive. If the monitor supports variable refresh rate, then you could get a smooth experience without tearing regardless of the changing frame rate. The ASUS PG279QM has an incredibly high 240Hz refresh rate with native G-Sync support. This is great if you have an NVIDIA graphics card and you want to take full advantage of it. Even if you have an AMD graphics card, we confirm that FreeSync works too. It performs best if you connect your PC with a DisplayPort connection so you could use its full 240Hz refresh rate and native G-Sync support. It's limited to 144Hz over HDMI with a 1440p resolution. When playing video games, a fast response time is important for the clearest image without distracting blur. The PG279QM has a fantastic response time at its max refresh rate. There's almost no motion blur behind fast-moving objects, which is great for playing fast-paced games. There's a lot more overshoot than there should be with the overdrive setting on esports. However, the overshoot is very quick and it goes back down quickly, so you don't see it as inverse ghosting with fast-moving objects. You could try disabling the overdrive setting to get no overshoot at all, but the response time is slower in all transitions. We recommend leaving the overdrive setting to normal or esports. If the frame rate drops when you're gaming, then luckily the response time is remarkable at 60 Hz. There's a lot less overshoot and motion looks smooth even when gaming at lower refresh rates. This monitor is actually better than most monitors at 60 Hz, but that's because it's doubling each frame and refreshing at 120 Hz. This helps it achieve a faster response time. Now, a low input lag is really important for a responsive feel when playing video games, and unsurprisingly, this monitor has extremely low input lag. Gaming feels responsive with the refresh rate at 240Hz, and you won't notice any delay. The 60Hz input lag is higher than other monitors, but that's because of the frame doubling with 60 frames per second content. Lastly, let's look at some of the additional features this monitor has. It has some of the common features that you normally see on gaming monitors like crosshairs, FPS counters, and a gamma adjustment. However, the big standout feature is the NVIDIA Reflex Latency Analyzer. This is a feature that comes with native G-Sync support, and it's usually found on 360Hz monitors, so it's nice to see it included with a 240Hz monitor. But that begs the question, What does this feature do? If you connect your mouse to the red USB port on the back, it can measure the system latency of your entire PC setup. This is really convenient if you're a competitive gamer and you want to know how much time you're losing to latency. So this brings us to the main question. Should you buy this monitor? Well, firstly, it's one of the best G-Sync gaming monitors we've tested. It has excellent gaming performance with remarkable motion handling and a fantastic color gamut. The 1440p resolution helps deliver crisp images, and it's one of the few to have this resolution with a 240Hz refresh rate. Simply put, this is an excellent choice if you're a competitive gamer and have an NVIDIA graphics card. The PG279QM's main competition is the Dell Alienware AW2721D, which is another 240Hz 1440p monitor with native G-Sync support. Gaming performance is similar between both, but the Dell is a bit cheaper, so go for this if you need to save a bit of money. However, it has worse reflection handling and a worse color gamut compared to the ASUS. Of course, if you don't have an NVIDIA graphics card, then you should go for something with native FreeSync support instead. The HP Omen 27C and the Samsung Odyssey G7 LC32G75T are both 1440p 240Hz monitors that cost less and have native FreeSync support. They also have VA panels with better darkroom performance too. If you're not going to take advantage of the 240Hz refresh rate, then you have a lot more options even in the budget category, but those monitors tend to have worse gaming performance.